Taylor County, as far in as Campbellsville in the state, were destroyed. And we're talking really rural areas. So this is the work that was going on in the community almost immediately. And you can see the installation of power lines. You see the fence lines here that are really in some rubble. And I tell you, there's a story from Taylor County that just, it moved me. And Governor, when you talk about the ag component of this, especially in West Kentucky, it is the damage is immediate, but the rebuilding is going to be long term. There's a gentleman in Taylor County right on that road, and I met his wife. I couldn't meet him because he had that morning to take 40 head of cattle, all of the cattle that he had, to the Springfield stockyards to sell them because all of his fence lines were gone. The roof had been pulled off of his barn. All of his grain had been exposed. The feed had been exposed. And so he had nothing to feed the cattle with, and couldn't even, be certain that he could keep them enclosed. And so he literally loaded up all 40, took them to Springfield to sell them. His wife is telling me the story on the side of the road where she's doing all of the work. It's freezing outside. She's sweating and crying. And the trauma was so raw in that moment that it was hard to imagine. She told me that as soon as the storm passed, her husband, who was the one that was off selling cattle, went next door, and their neighbors were in their basement. The house had collapsed in on top of them. And this gentleman literally pulled people out from under the rubble and saved their lives. Went down to the next neighbor's house, and for you from rural Kentucky, neighbors are not close. We've got space between us, and he went down to the next house and yelled for his neighbors. Same thing had happened. The house had caved in on them. Their houses are destroyed, and he heard his neighbor say, "We're down here, please don't leave us." And he didn't, and he was able to clear enough rubble on his own and pull these folks out and save their lives. And as his wife is telling me this story, she's talking so fast, and it's just all so new, and she's still, you can tell, in so much shock. And she mentioned a bus, and I said, what are you talking about, a bus? And she pointed up to the house, and she said, well, now the school bus is behind the house. My husband is the bus driver for the school system. And it was in that moment that you realize that it's our everyday heroes that are stepping up, that they do God's work every day. But man, they are the angels that show up when we need them, Governor. And everybody from our local officials to neighbors, they don't need a title. They're helping their neighbors.